Hello, everyone. We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you guys are joining us from today. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Wednesday and week so far. Just to make sure that you guys can see and hear not only me, but our panel as well, find the chat and let us know where you guys are joining us from today. That way we'll know that we are good to go. While you guys are doing that, let me just tell you that we have an awesome end of the year panel discussion plan for you guys, and we will be diving into that in just a couple of moments. But in case this is the first time you're joining one of our events, welcome. We hold our webinars, roundtables, workshops, onboarding days, and panels, and so on to share some insightful information with the SEO community, help you make the most of our tools, and hopefully give you some actionable takeaways that will help you increase the traffic to your website. Yeah, I'm seeing that somebody's saying they're not getting any sound, perhaps. Yeah, I think most of the people are getting sound, but it's probably a problem on YouTube. If you could just refresh the page. Obviously, I'm saying something and they say that they can't hear me, so that's probably not good advice. I'm hoping that the chat will figure that out. But for the most part, I'm guessing, judging by the replies, that we are good to go. All right, let me switch over the presentation and start this thing. So today we're going to talk about updating your SEO strategy for 2023. And we have a guest panel of experts invited for this. Obviously, you guys are not here for me. So let me just quickly switch that slide and go over to the people that we are here to see today. So let me first welcome Sherry Bonelli, owner at Early Bird Digital Marketing and Google Business Profile Platinum Product Expert. Hi, Sherry. Thanks for doing this with us. Can you say a couple of more words about yourself?
Hi, Andrew. Yeah, my name is Sherry Bonelli. I'm the owner of Early Bird Digital Marketing. And as Andrew mentioned, I am a Google Business Profile Platinum Product Expert. And I'm also a LinkedIn learning instructor. I've been doing digital marketing for 25 plus years now.
Great. Thank you for taking the time to do this with us. We are also joined by Colin Nielsen, Vice President of Local Search at Sterling Sky. And we are happy to have him as well. He has a lot of expertise and background in local SEO. Can you say a couple of words about yourself, Colin, please?
Yeah, thanks for having me. As it says there, I'm the Vice President of Local Search at Sterling Sky. We are an agency who focuses specifically on local SEO. We go really deep on Google Business Profile related optimizations. I've been doing local SEO since 2010. And I'm also a Google Business Profile product expert like Sherry and Yan. And yeah, just excited to share some local SEO thoughts and stuff as we head into 2023.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. And also we are joined by Jan Gilbert, creator of Local Falcons here at SEO, also at Sterling Sky. And he's also the founder of Jan Gilbert Consulting. So a lot of things. And please, can you say a couple of more words about yourself, Jan, just to get acquainted with the people?
Sure. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, just like you mentioned, product expert like everyone else here. Work with Colin at Sterling Sky. Just love helping business owners and agencies get better at what they do.
Great. So these are our panel today, and let me just show you guys a couple of slides about the platform that pulled all these experts together for this event. So I'm talking about SEO ranking, and it's an all-in-one SEO platform with tools for monitoring, analyzing the market, and you can see a couple of not too many badges, but badges on the screen that were given to us by users and independent experts from the field of SEO and digital marketing. And we have the tools for business owners, digital agencies, one-man shows, whatever you want. If you're data hungry, you also have that. We try to have everything for SEO first steppers as well, a lot of materials, videos, and so on, just to help you get started. And that was only 5 minutes. I didn't want to take too much of everybody's time with the intro, because we really want to focus on getting you guys prepared for next year and just sort of sum up 2022 in terms of SEO. And yeah, so there's another slide. This shows everything that basically we can talk about, but it's not a presentation per se from anybody. It's going to be a panel discussion. So all of you guys who are joining us today, viewing our webinar, you are welcome to, yeah, we already have a question. How does one become a GDP product expert exactly? So yeah, we can might as well, we could start with that, but I would like to get the organizational stuff out of the way, please. first, and then we can move on to the event. So what I want to say is to our viewers, please write any of your questions that you have about SEO in general, and we'll do our best to address them. I will try to find the person who can give you guys the most expert opinion or expert feedback. So, all right. Well, I'm going to turn off the slides because we are going to go into chat mode with everybody on the screen. And the first question, well, is why not start off with a question that was already suggested by our users, our viewers. So, how does one become a GBP product expert?
It's magic. No, actually, we can all probably talk about it. Google has a Google Business Profile Help Forum. One of the ways that you can become a product expert is by answering questions on the Google Business Profile Help Forum, answering them consistently, frequently, and answering the questions correctly. Guys, do you have anything else to add to that? Because Google will hopefully notice that you're contributing to the community, because that's what being a product expert is all about. It's about helping other users with problems that they have with Google Business Profile.
Yeah, anything you guys want to add to that?
The only thing I would add is if you're truly interested in becoming a product expert, know that there's a product experts program for basically every Google product. So it's not just Google Business Profile. There's a Google Maps forum as well, for instance. My tip would be, if you're truly interested, find an existing product experts and try and reach out to them. Try and network with existing product experts, because most of them are more than willing to mentor and to guide people who really want to take a crack at it.
Yeah, thanks. The only thing that I wanted to add, guys, is that Google Business Profile experts do not mean that they are employed by Google. So do not get angry or mean with anything. These people are helping us. So just I don't know, just soak it all in. But they are in no way employed by Google directly. So let us move on to the questions that we have. So it's not a question per se, but what I wanted to start off with is talk about on-site SEO strategies for next year, and perhaps Sherry, you could start with that.
Yeah, and I think we're all going to kind of jump in on this. I think when it comes to on-site SEO strategies, obviously using SEO best practices, like title tags, description tags, so that when you do show up in search results, people are going to want to click on your links. That's important, even though they don't necessarily directly to contribute to rankings. But when I think one of the most important things to focus on right now is content. With Google's helpful content update, with the MUM algorithm, they're not calling them algorithms now, they're calling them something else. I can't remember right now. System updates. Thank you. Writing great content is going to be one of the most important things, and showing your authority, and not just writing great content, but answering as many questions about that particular topic as you can is on that page is going to be very important. And so internal linking to other topics related to that topic is going to be really important. So anchor text matters. Make sure you add media to that page, like videos, photos, because Google's system update MUM can recognize videos. I mean, they can understand what's in a video without even schema markup. It's incredible. They can understand that there's a video about a horse without even any markup. Their artificial intelligence is incredible. So try and make your pages as rich and robust and authoritative and complete as possible.
Great. Colin, Jan, do you have any contributions to this?
Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, I think if I was to single out one specific, maybe not strategy, but a tactic to really focus on is internal linking. And with larger websites, I think there's some wonderful plugins and ways you can automate some of your internal linking out there. But I think when it comes specifically to small to medium-sized business websites, if you can be very strategic and precise with the anchor text that you're using with your internal linking, and really doing it page by page as you're optimizing pages, nailing down the internal linking to other related pages with good anchor text, that's going to go a long way in 2023 for sure.
Appreciate it.
Should have went before you, because that's what I was going to say.
Was it? You can tell we work together.
It's fine. I'm good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just to add to that, like, I get questions like, "Oh, should we have a blog or not have a blog?" And it depends on the category and the business, of course. But if you do have a blog, one of the weaknesses is definitely one of those is the internal linking. Like, you want to use your blog to write about, especially if you're local, write about like a job or a project that you did, and not just write about it, but like use that to link to other places. And that's one of the things that I often see is not optimized well, is not only the internal linking on your service pages, but all your other blog pages, to use that for a higher, to localize your content a little bit more.
And I think, Jan, that's a good point. I'll just throw this out there real quickly. I think everyone thinks when they think content, they think blog. It doesn't have to be a blog. You can add more content about services that you offer, and those can be pages on your site, and you link to those pages from other pages. So I think people automatically think content needs to be a blog, and it doesn't have to be. It can be more pages on your site. So think about that too.
Good point. Thank you. We already have a question coming in. So is optimizing Google business listing through backlinks, does it really add value? Is this a practice? Is this a common practice at all?
Yeah, it's so if you're referring to building links, say, to the actual GBP page itself, with the CID number, maps, URL, we've done some testing on that. We've got a couple articles on the Sterling Sky blog and saw no impact specifically related to that. If you're building links to the actual page that's on the website that's linked to from the GBP profile, you'll probably find some benefits to doing that.
Perhaps you could share that article, like not right now, but like when you have time, if you could throw it into the chat, I think that would be helpful to our viewers. All right, thank you. Any other contributions? Anything else to say on this question, guys? All right, got it. Okay, we also have a question from Alistair. Thinking about the year as it comes to a close, which technical or strategic change had the most impact on SEO rankings in 2022? Yeah, starting off with the big question. Any takers?
We're going to talk about technical, I think, is our next question. Do you just want to move into that one, Andrew?
Yeah, I would, but I'm just like following the chat as well, because I realize that we have something prepared as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think as far as technical goes, I mean, the Core Web Vitals update, we're still, I think, kind of waiting to see how that really impacts rankings. But we know that speed is something that's really important to Google. So that's a technical aspect that I think is something that everyone needs to pay attention to. Unfortunately, it's really a challenge if you have a big website or you have lots of photos to make your site load fast. The other thing that I think is important is the fact that you need to make sure that your site is meant for the user and not for the search engines. And I think that's something that Google is going to really, really press hard about moving forward, is they're going to penalize sites that are written technically and SEO optimized for Google versus the user. So if you have a site that you've heavily optimized with, best plumber in Chicago, if you're looking for a plumber in Chicago and that's riddled throughout your site, you may start seeing your site drop because Google starting to get wise even more that you're not writing for the user, you're writing for Google. So I think as far as those types of things, that's something that I think has been a big change.
I'm bad, guys. Sorry, something happened. So I think you guys already made the transition to the technical SEO part. Sorry, I missed the ending. Did anybody besides
Colin,
Sherry? Did anybody contribute?
Jan, you guys want to throw something out?
Do you have anything for that one, Yen?
Yeah, well, I'll just add to what Sherry said. I'm seeing still some benefits with like removal of keyword stuffing. Like, it seems fairly obvious, and it's an old school thing that people used to keyword stuff. But go through a page, and if you have the same word or phrase appearing 20 times on that page, try removing some of it. Try going down to 13, 10 or something, and rearrange the wording, use variations. I've definitely fixed pages, a lot of pages on different sites, specifically for keyword stuff, and where you think, or it used to work and now it doesn't work. So yeah, I don't know if we're still live. He dropped off. But...
I think we're still alive. I think Andrew may have dropped off. Yeah.
I could throw out one more. I guess this would be in the technical camp. Something we've seen work well this year, especially on the local side with the local algorithm, is decreasing the amount of folders. So let's just say you have a location page, for instance, and it's business.com/state/ category/city. Getting that last folder as close as possible to the homepage. On the local side of the house, we've seen that be quite impactful.
That's interesting. That's a really good point. Great. Welcome back, Andrew.
Yeah, sorry guys, I dropped out, but I see that you guys are handling everything perfectly. So could you please maybe let me know where you guys are right now?
I think we've covered enough on this subject, I think.
All right. So let's move on to citations and local SEO, and let's discuss what should be focused on when we think about citations in 2023. So as like building up our local SEO profile.
Yeah, I think citations still matter for sure. I find some people have moved into a camp of maybe citations don't matter at all anymore. I definitely think they still matter, but just in different ways than traditionally we've thought about them. So for instance, the way I like to think about citations is really focusing on like what are the top directory sites that are actually ranking for branded searches typically. And then like going further, what directory sites are taking advantage of review schema, right? So when you do show up with a profile, it's got the review snippets. Some of the directory sites are using FAQ schema these days. So like focusing on those types of things and building out your branded kind of Google homepage, if you will. That's kind of how I like to think about directories these days.
Yeah. So to add to that, do a branded search and then look at, and sometimes if your business name is a little bit too generic, just add in your address in the search bar there. And then Google will return those. Look at those first results, the first page, first 10, if you're not scrolling results now, and see which citations are showing up, and just take a look and make sure that those directories have the right information, obviously. But those would be the most important ones that Google is returning for your name. So make sure those are correct. Another thing to add is also check the reviews there. I looked at a business recently, and we did a branded search, and they had like a Facebook and a Yelp show up in Google there, second and third after their website, and they only had like one review in Facebook, which was a 5-star, but it was showing up with the snippets with the yellow stars there. Pay attention to that, because one bad review, one extra bad review is going to bring your 5 to 2.5, right? And that's going to show up right below your website for a branded search potentially. So if you don't have a lot of reviews on those larger citations, and they're getting pulled into the first page of Google for branded search, or sometimes even they get pulled into like reviews from the web section on your knowledge panel, pay attention to those, and try to boost some of those reviews. If you have 1 or 2, even though they might be great, one bad one will really tank that average down. And so people pay attention. It's like, oh, they have 5.5 or 5 on 5 stars on the Google listing, but they have a 2 on Facebook. What's going on? And they'll go visit there, because people seek out those negative. They want to see what the differences sometimes are. So just pay attention to those citations, specifically the ones that are pulling in reviews for you.
And there are also a lot of niche directories that you want to try and get reviews on as well, like Avo for attorneys, cars.com for car dealerships and stuff like that. So pay attention to those niche directories and try and get listed on those as well, because those will be beneficial too.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's move over to the GBP section and discuss a bit more in detail upcoming stuff in Google Business Profile. So we have a question: how has the change from the Business Google Manager to managing Google Business Profile in Google Search, aka New Merchant Experience, impacted the user experience? Sherry, Colin, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, I can start real quick. I think first it's made it more difficult for agencies to manage multiple business profiles. It was a lot easier from the business profile manager when you could see your whole list of clients and manage them directly from that interface. It's much more difficult, having to manage from search when you have multiple businesses that you're managing. And it's even, I think, been controversial from what I can see on the help file for even individual merchants. I've seen a lot of negative comments about that. I don't know if you guys have seen that from merchants as well, about not liking the search experience for managing their profiles. Supposedly, it's easier for people to manage, and I think Google's going to be making changes to refine things and add new features and stuff like that. But it's been a little controversial. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit opposite in terms of, I think, how it's settled with me, which I think is kind of rare talking to most people. I think it's a good change. Personally, one of the things I do like about the fact that you're editing things kind of directly in the search results now is it really forces you to, daily or however often you're working on that client or your business to look at your branded search, your knowledge panel. So you're probably going to see things more often, like some of the stuff Yan was saying with review profiles, with low review scores, stuff like that. So I think it's good for that. It was definitely designed with business owners in mind, not agencies. That's pretty clear. So definitely a learning curve on it. Personally, I enjoy it. We don't manage too many massive multi-location businesses. So I get there's some challenges there. But even sort of the back end, what's the name of the back end still? It's where you can edit all the
business profile manager.
The business profile manager. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you can still do stuff in there at sort of like a high level. You can discard, you can like open, close listings, remove them. But all the individual editing, you're going to find yourself directly in search. And yeah, it seems like overall it's been challenging for people to accept, understandably.
And it's almost like an Easter egg hunt these days, because it's
Yes.
like you found something the other day. I saw something, live where, there's a red dot now when you get new messages. Consumers and people searching can now see a red dot. And this has been a while now. I think when you have a new post, they'll see a red dot on mobile next to update, so they can see that there's an update. The problem is I don't know that everybody knows what the red dot means. So that's the only issue with that. But what did you find? You found something the other day, Colin. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and that's like another good point, is just keeping an eye on the new merchant experience, because there's a little carousel of these different cards or modules or whatever you want to call them. And it seems like every day somebody's tweeting about a new one that has shown up there. And there was one the other day where Google is now prompting the business owner to add a map to your website. So you kind of click on that. It takes you to this the sort of like custom map interface where, if you're multi-location, you can build a nice map highlighting all your locations, which you can then embed on your website. There's ways to do that before, but it's kind of nice that Google is making this more obvious and providing more ways to do something like that, which is actually useful.
The overall thing, I'm getting used to it, and I've heard a lot of negative feedback too, and that's, I guess, normal every time you change something. But the overall negative, given how Google is functions is you need more clicks to get to places, whereas before you could go to the info page and there would just be a whole long list of stuff that you can scroll through and look at. Now you have to just click to all these individual things. And what makes it, besides the time and finding things, is Google changes stuff and doesn't tell anyone, or they add things and doesn't tell anyone. And you have to find it, or you just like it was like you found something new. It's like, well, how long did it take? How long was it there before you even recognized that it was something? Because you didn't go to that section and click 3 times and notice that they added something. That's what I find it more of a pain in the butt, especially when we're doing work. There's new stuff and Google doesn't tell you that they've added things or taken things away, and you just have to find it. And we have to, go on Twitter and we have to read articles and we say, that's new. And people find different things randomly. I find that's the most annoying part of working in it every day.
And then not everybody has a new thing. Like I don't have the new map thing that I've seen yet. So it's
So you gotta be in it more, or you gotta pay attention to the people who are in it more and wait for those tweets and follow the right people, follow us and other people that are always constantly seeing and noticing. Because sometimes you'll go through it and you're not paying enough attention to notice that that's new, but it might be super important for your business to click that box or to use that feature.
We can't hear you, Andrew.
You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting this much stuff to go wrong today. So if you guys could just please, thank you for staying around with us although I'm dropping off all the time. Let's move on to the next question, please. So what are your service area businesses in 2023? And I would like to start with Colin on this question.
Yeah, I think it's always a good idea to talk about service area businesses. I know not everybody works with service area businesses or is a service area business, but there's such a big piece of like the Google business profile world in Google Maps and all that. So I think they deserve to be discussed just because they have different rules, their nuances around them. And I kind of always like to think about where Google's heading with service area businesses next year. And I try to make a prediction every single year specifically related to that. And I think as we go into 2023, we're going to see Google rolling out either more features or just updates to way things are handled for service area businesses. And so remember, this is businesses that have hidden their address, right? It's not visible. They travel to the customer to do the job versus having a brick and mortar that the customer comes to. And I was looking up some stats, like home services as an industry is expected to increase to $5.14 trillion, I think by 2026. So between now and 2026. And I just think Google is looking at that and going, we need to stay on top of that. And we need to make sure that businesses that operate in this massive industry that's growing very quickly are handled well. And so for instance, recently, we're starting to see predefined service areas, for instance, being offered, which is a new feature. Whereas before, if you're defining your service areas, you kind of have to add them in manually, which you can still do. But now sometimes when you log in, again, maybe not everybody's seeing this yet, you'll see these predefined service areas that you can select. And I just think whenever Google offers these predefined things, whether it's attributes, whatever it may be, it's really important to pay attention to those, take advantage of them, test them, see if they impact ranking, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, great. So there's a lot of happening, and Google's paving way for the development of this specific area. So this is pretty good news. I'm guessing, and I'm hoping for everybody involved in the SADs. If you guys don't have anything to say any additional stuff on SADs, we can. There's another topic is Google Business Profile products and services. So I'm guessing this is something that is being developed and worked on every day. And perhaps Sherry, you could say a couple more words, but expand on the topic of GBP products and services.
Yeah, the products and services sections I think are kind of underutilized a lot by the business owners that are managing their business profiles. And so if you have a physical storefront and you sell products from that storefront, Google's giving you the opportunity to put those products on your Google business profile and you can put a price on them. They're changing it from a variable price where you can have a price range. So now you have to have like a fixed price and you can now direct them to your website. You don't have to have a website URL, but ideally it'd be nice to. So you can link to your website, and they're basically giving you a way to sell your products that you sell in your store, your physical store, because obviously you can't be an online only retailer and have a Google business profile. Let's get that clear. But if you have a physical store and you sell products, you can put those products on your Google business profile. There is a possibility that they will show up on the Google's product feed, which is nice. So you might get extra exposure that way. So it's something that I think businesses aren't taking advantage of. Now, one thing that I kind of want to make clear is some services have been putting their services as products. And that doesn't really meet Google's commerce requirements. And so if you're a landscaper, don't put lawn cutting or grass cutting as a product. That should be a service. So just kind of wanted to make that kind of clear. But definitely take advantage of those products and services sections in your Google business profile. Do you two have anything else to add to that?
You guys are welcome to contribute.
Yeah, so it's hard sometimes for a single listing or small business to get all their inventory on Google, but there's a program called Pointy. If you want to do it yourself, there's a little bit of technical setup, but it connects to your point of sale system, and every time inventory comes in and out, it'll update and auto feed every day to Google, so that people can see if someone's searching for a specific product and it says sold here or in stock on your listing there, so you can compete with some of the larger box stores that already have all those kind of nice features for the inventory. You need to connect that through the Merchant Center, and like I said, Pointy is one program that Google owns to try to do it yourself. If you're a larger company, you might want to go through a third party that helps facilitate all that stuff, like the DBA platform, and there's lots of choices now that will help connect your inventory to Merchant Center, and then from Merchant Center, once it has all that information, it can send it to your Google profile. You can also create inventory ads out of that, and it'll go all over the Google ecosystem. You can just send all those inventory products everywhere. So look into that. If you have, even if you're a one single store, a bicycle shop, and you have parts, you can do it. You don't have, just because a larger, gigantic Walmart or Target is doing it doesn't mean that you can't do it as well. It's just you just have to make the effort and go through all the steps and the hoops, and eventually you'll get it done, and then you can compete on that same level.
And one of the cool things that Jan had mentioned about that is if it's managing your real-time inventory, if someone were to search for a particular product in your Google business profile, it will say that product is available or not available. If it's available, it'll say it's available, and the person doesn't have to drive around looking to see if a product's in stock. It'll show up and say that it's available. So it's really, really cool. Thank you for bringing that up, Jan.
Yeah, and sometimes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Colin.
Someone just asked in the chat I think they missed the name. It's Pointy, Pointy. I'll hand it back over to you, Jan. But another thing, and I didn't realize this till I got blasted. Google's advertising Pointy heavily on YouTube right now. If you've seen the commercials, it's totally free. They'll ship you the hardware, 100% free, which is pretty cool.
I've done some testing that shows that once Google knows that you have something in stock, your rankings will go up for that item. So even if I did a test, and it's easy with the visuals, but I was literally standing outside a Walmart, and I typed something like potato chips or something like that, and another grocery store 2 miles away had that specific item, it came up first, and Walmart came up second, even though I was literally like outside the Walmart. The other grocery store came up ahead of Walmart, even though I was much further away. So once Google has the data, it can use that data to affect the rankings too. So not guaranteed all in every item, but there's definitely I've done multiple tests and seen that it can affect the visibility of your listing when Google knows you have something.
And that was dill pickle potato chips, wasn't it, Jan?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, we should write that down and send you some as a gift from SEO Ranking. And speaking of frequent updates, do they require more SERP checking? Like, is it a process that just you can't sort of stay on top of it at all? Jan, could you contribute about the frequent updates that they require?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So
manual.
Yeah. I just find, especially this last year, there's been a lot of Google updates with the profiles, adding new features, taking some stuff away, again with the new dashboard. And there's also been a lot of issues where Google is updating things, and people think that Google is God almost, and that every rollout of every feature is going to be perfect. There's been a lot of issues this year where reviews disappear, even your listing disappears or shows up in a different state. You need to pay attention a little bit more to your profile. And what Colin was saying is, now that you have the new in search dashboard, it makes you pay attention a little bit more to what's going on and visually what people see. Definitely search for your brand and see or do keywords that you think you should be showing up. If you're rank tracking, make sure that even though the rank tracker might be showing you first, go ahead and key it in and see if you're really first, or if you're first, but then maybe you're missing features that other competitors have and you don't, because they've added something that you haven't noticed yet. So 100% pay more attention to the Google result for your business and your main keywords. Like, do an actual search every month and see what's there.
Awesome. The next topic is we want to move on to content, and going back sort of to the MUM that was mentioned earlier. How has the Google multitask unified model and helpful content update changed how content marketers should write content for websites? And yeah, Sherry, could you please take that one?
Yeah, I'm actually knee deep into writing an article for Search Engine Journal about this particular topic, because the way we write content, I think, has changed with these two updates. And basically, MUM is able to see all sorts of media, everything from audio files to videos and images and photos and all those types of things. And so the helpful content update is, again, meant to make sure that it's basically is going to penalize those keyword stuffed pages that are meant only for Google, and reward pages that give searchers quality content that answers the searcher's intent. And so, I think the way writers and SEOs need to think moving forward into 2023 is you need to focus on topics and less on keywords. We, as SEOs, we normally think, okay, what keywords are we going to focus on? We need to focus less on keywords and more on topics. And that's going to help us come up with a better outline versus just keywords. We need to understand the searcher intent. What are they really trying to find out? They may ask one question, but that's not all they need to know. They need to know way more things than just that one question. And we need to answer as many questions in whatever we're writing about that particular topic as we can, so that they don't have to bounce off of our page to go find more information. So I think, that's going to be important too. If people come to our site and they read our page, but it doesn't answer everything that they want, and they leave within, a couple seconds, Google knows that. So we want to be able to write enough authoritative content that, Google sees that they stay on our page. And then again, add other media like photos, infographics, videos, audio files. There's tools out there that will actually add an audio file that will actually read a blog post or read the content. Google can understand audio files and video files. So add that type of rich media to your pages if you can.
Yeah, thank you. And I have a question on this in terms of like the use of AI tools. No, sorry, I lost my train of thought, so I'll get back to you on that one, I'm sure. But damn, I had it for sure. Oh, sorry. I really want to say something. Anyway, use of AI generated content. Let's talk about AI in content, because this is something that has been happening a lot. We have the GPT making a lot of noise. SEO ranking has also, we rolled out a couple of tools, and there's Jasper. There's just tons of going on with AI generated content. Can you guys comment on this? How about Jan? Can you take this one?
Yeah, I've used the chat GPT a bunch of times in the last couple weeks now, and it's amazing. It really is amazing, and it can write lots of things. Like if you're talking about content of a, writing for a local business, like you can say, give me like the top 10 things to write about. It'll give you a list, and then you can like say, okay, write me a 500-page article on this thing, and then you can pump out content like crazy. And so it's going to, I think in the beginning, the people who take advantage of it are going to be ahead, because then they can produce content faster and then get it on the site. But after a while, I think, it's going to even out. Everyone's going to start using, everyone's going to just have so much content. And the weakness with something I'm not saying don't use it, I'm saying use it a lot right now, use it a lot. But one of the weaknesses is that it can't generate any new information. It can only pull in what already exists out there on the internet and can't provide anything new. So what I foresee happening is that everyone's going to have, even though they might be different articles, there's going to be a proliferation of the same information over and over and over on all the sites all the time. And what Sherry was saying is, how Google is going to distinguish which one is better, since it's all going to be the same, whoever has the newest or more stuff. So if it's not just content, but you have different images, you have videos, you have all or new content information, that's where you're going to get the like you're going to come out on top, because it's just going to be a sea of similar, top 10 FAQ questions and the top 10 service things, and it's always going to be the same stuff. So you have to differentiate yourself. So use it, but try to figure out, how can I make this better than someone else who's also using it?
Yeah, and I always say, which tool did you use, Jan?
That was the chat GPT thing. It's super amazing.
Yeah. So I played around with a couple, and I have a subscription to Jasper, and they're always adding to it. Jasper's probably one of the most popular ones. But I always say, don't ever take it verbatim. Don't take a blog post or content that you've written on an AI tool and plunk it on your site and call it good. You need to massage it. You need to edit it. You need to add your branding, tone, and voice to it. You need to add your company or your expertise to it. Or, like Jan said, it's just going to be everything that everybody else has. So that's where you're going to be able to bring that richness to it. So I use it for ideas. I use it for entity ideas. I use it for subtopic ideas. And some of the time I'm like, crap, I didn't even think of that topic. It makes perfect sense for me to add that. So that's where I use these type of AI tools, and they're great for that type of stuff. So definitely use them, but don't use them verbatim. Like, don't just copy paste and you call it a blog post, or call it a services page or whatever. You definitely need to edit. You definitely need to add your tone of voice and your expertise to it.
And actually, remember the question that I wanted to ask? It was about covering the user intent. So Sherry, you said try to write an article that would cover everything. And I'm thinking cover everything for a single user intent, or are you talking about the complete journey? Because is that even possible?
Yeah, no, I mean, so for instance, the example I'm using for the article that I'm writing is like, how do you attract hummingbirds? So first you need to talk about, where do hummingbirds come, which areas do hummingbirds come from? Then you need to talk about what type of food do hummingbirds like? And then how do you make the nectar? And oh, gee, did you know that you have to boil the water first? I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. And then you have to do they prefer plastic or glass? I mean, you have to go through that type of thing. Whereas if you're searching for just keywords, you literally get how to attract hummingbirds to my backyard, how to attract hummingbirds, how to attract ruby red hummingbirds. I mean, when you're searching for just keywords, those are what you get. Whereas when you're searching for topics, you get basically an outline for a piece of content. And so you have to think about when someone wants to attract hummingbirds, it's not just attracting the hummingbirds, it's all those other little things that they need to know about attracting those hummingbirds. Like they're territorial. You have to know that when you're attracting them because maybe you need to put out 3 hummingbird feeders because in different spots of your yard, otherwise the hummingbirds are going to fight with each other. So those are the things you need to think about when you're talking about user intent and writing a complete article or a piece of content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and now I have another question. Like, for example, you write this elaborate article on attracting hummingbirds, but what if I do the same thing, but I break it up into like 5 different articles? Who would have more success?
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, if you have 5 different articles about each different section or about each different
Yeah.
topic, you would need to definitely link them together strategically using anchor text. Now, what the 5 different articles means is that that person has to jump from page to page to page to page, and they may start reading and then not see that that other topic is covered on that page and they may leave too. So I don't know. I haven't run tests to see which would work better. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think with the concept of one page to rule them all versus 5 pages, I think typically it comes down to if there's enough interest differentiation between the subtopics to break them out. There's enough search volume, interest, etc. Because there's definitely a good use case for one page that is all encompassing, that is a linkable asset, and like all these other benefits that could go with it. So it's really going to be case by case, I would think.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I'm seeing, looking at the time, and yeah, we need to have still a couple of more questions to address. So let's talk about visual search, images and videos. Visual search will become more predominant, more prominent. The search is now multimodal, which means that it is able to handle input and output in various formats, including text, images, and sound, which we already touched on. But
Yeah.
what is the best way for SEOs and content marketers to prepare for this new way of searching? Is it basically just try to write an article that includes all these types of multimedia?
Yeah, I'm gonna make this real brief because we talked about this quite a bit. You don't have to have everything on a page, but just try and include the things that make sense. And if you're going to include a video, like for instance, put it towards the top of the page. If you're going to include a photo, make sure it's towards the top of the page because Google likes to scan from top to bottom, right? So that's why a heading 1 is at the top for the most part. You also want to check your images against, I'm going to give you the URL. It's cloud.google.com/vision. So you want to use original photos, not stock photos. I mean, nobody likes to see stock photos. If you work at a dental office, don't put a stock photo of a dentist office. For goodness sakes, go ahead and put hire a professional photographer and take pictures of your own dental team. But use the vision tool, drag your photos into that tool and see what Google thinks that picture is a picture of and make sure they think it's a picture of a dentist because Google can recognize those types of images. So make sure that they think it's a picture of a dentist and not a picture of a physician or a picture of a mechanic, for instance. But yeah, so just test those images that way. But yeah, I think we've talked about the visual search and stuff like that, but just try and be smart about how you're optimizing those images and try and use original images.
All right, I appreciate it. I would move on to the next question just to make sure that everything covered. I'm sure that guys have more to contribute on this topic, but let's talk about reviews. Also,
Andrew, freeze
Go
for
ahead,
anyone.
Colin, answer his question.
Yeah, Sherry, maybe while we're waiting for Andrew to come back.
New happening.
Yep.
Oh,
There he is.
you're back.
Oh my God! I didn't even notice I was lost. I was dropped from the conversation. So I was talking about the reviews question, and I wanted to ask you guys opinions on what is the best strategy to utilize to get reviews from customers, because they do impact local rankings. I'm hoping I wasn't cut off for any of that. And Sherry, could you please once again take this one?
Yeah, I'll go real quick. For instance, Google Business Profile, if you go into the card, there's a card that says get more reviews. And that's in the Google search, and you can actually get a short code. And what you want to do is try and promote that shortened URL, because that will take people directly to your Google Business Profile to leave a review. So put it at the bottom of your signature in your emails and say, how did we do today? Leave us a review or leave us feedback. Put it on your business card. Send out an email to your customers thanking them for your business and asking for reviews. I wouldn't recommend sending out a mass email to all of your customers with that URL, because you definitely don't want to get like 100 million reviews at one time. I don't think there are any studies that show that you'll get necessarily penalized if you get a ton of reviews at once. But get reviews at a steady pace. But there are lots of things you can do. Put that URL by the cash register and ask for reviews. But I think Colin, I think there's more questions that we have about reviews, but definitely try and ask for those reviews. If you ask for them, people will generally leave a review for you if you personally ask them to.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. And I'd love to know what Colin thinks about what are the most important considerations for business owners when it comes to Google reviews. Maybe you have experience from the business that you work at.
Yeah, little bit of a plug, but so at Sterling Sky, we've been publishing quite a bit on reviews lately, and one of the things we really like to do at Sterling Sky is our own testing around things. So I'll share a link, but if you just go to the Sterling Sky site, search for reviews. So there's a little search bar within the website. There's maybe 7 or 8 blogs we published recently, and they just cover things like, if you upvote reviews, do they stay up higher longer? Does that particular review become more visible for longer? What role do local guides play as far as reviews? Like, are their reviews more potent? That type of stuff. So I would check that out, because it's pretty in depth. And that was over the last couple of months that we started publishing those actual test results from stuff we've done. And then we've baked a lot of that into our processes and the way we kind of guide our clients as far as their review strategies. It can be very beneficial to that as well.
All right. And what about besides Google reviews? Is there any point in hunting non-Google reviews, just going after them? Does that help any way in promoting your business?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Yen was talking about with really just focusing on the third-party non-Google review sites that get a lot of visibility for your branded searches. And they definitely influence ranking to some degree. Mike Blumenthal did a study, this is going back a couple of years ago, where the words that were in a Yelp review triggered a one box where there was no one box before. So there's definitely Google's reading, scraping third-party reviews and incorporating those in various ways into the search results, for sure.
Yeah, appreciate that. So we have a couple of more minutes and a couple of more questions. So we have 2 more topics. So it's e-commerce and the new EAT, which is EAT. So let's start off with the Swiss. See what's in store. And does anybody want to contribute on this? Maybe Jan, sorry.
Yeah,
You want to talk
well,
about
let's see what's in
Swiss?
store. That's exactly what I was mentioning before, just to go fast. That's
All
the
right.
connection of your inventory to the merchant center. Google changed it, see what's in store or its inventory. It's just another one of those Google acronyms, Swiss, that confuses people, but it's the same. It's the same thing.
All right. Thanks. And products will need to be able to be visually searchable. And I think we all already covered on some of these topics when answering other questions, but it'll be great to answer this question specifically. What are some best practices for making products searchable, visually searchable? Sherry, could you take that one, please?
Yeah, I can start. So, we had talked about especially for e-commerce, you want to make sure that you're using original photos, but you also want to make sure that you're using manufacturer photos as well because Google likes to see manufacturer photos. I'm assuming, Jan, that has to do with Swiss as well. They like to see the original or the manufacturer photos as well. But for instance, if you're putting them on your website, you may want to have some original photos at different angles, for instance, so people can see what the product looks like at different angles if the manufacturer isn't providing those photos. And then, like I said, with local businesses, set up your Google Business Profile product so that you can show up in search that way. Make sure you have alt tags and those types of things. Now, with Google Lens, people can now take photos of things, click on the lens, and then click on plus, and then they can also enter keywords into search too. And so Google's just doing lots of things with images and search that way. So I think the more photos you can have on your site with regard to products, especially at different angles and stuff like that, the more Google's going to be able to recognize that your product is the one that someone's searching for. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, appreciate it. And yeah, we're almost the hour is almost out. So let's finish off with addressing the new E in Google's Eat and a couple of takeaways from each one of you just to close off the year and wish everyone else like how to do their how to optimize their strategies for next year. So Colin, could you maybe please start off by talking about the new E in Eat? So experience.
Yeah, actually, for that one, I think I'll defer to my colleagues on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sherry. I haven't really looked. I mean, experience. I mean, this is all kind of. If you don't think of again, I'll go to Sherry in a sec, but I just want to, if think of it as a holistic thing. Like when we're optimizing, when we're trying to talk about a business, think about how a person would view a business, right? So stop thinking sometimes about the algorithm. We have to think about like what makes a good business, what makes your business attractive or better than a competitor. If you add that in when you're thinking overall your strategy, all this stuff, you won't have to think about the algorithm updates. It's going to come out automatically in your writing, in the way that your business is being promoted,
That's a good point. I mean, Google's basically confirmed that Eat is applied to every single search query. Um, I don't think they've ever really said that it's a ranking factor. But if you think about it, they want to show authoritative content. They want to show now that the entity that's writing the content, the business or the person writing the content, has experience in whatever they're writing about. And that's what the new E stands for. The second E is experience, authority, and then trust. So now we have a longer EEAT. But it just makes sense that it's a core part of their metrics. And so when you are establishing your business, write about content that is part of your core business and part of your core experience and authority. And that's I think the main thing that I want to get across is make sure that the people writing your content are experts in what they do, they have the experience to write about it, and then you're going to build up that authority and trust with Google the more you do that.
All right. So I appreciate all of you guys' answers and the discussion that we had today. Unfortunately, there was so many questions in the chat that there was just no time to address practically none of them. But since we are joined by Google product experts, you can find them on some forum, and perhaps you'll be lucky to get a direct answer for them on a specific question. But just before we leave and end this, I just wanted to get maybe like a one thought on maybe what you hope will next year will be like for SEO, or just like recommendations, anything that you would want to say as like to summarize the year and going forward. I would like to start with Colin.
Yeah, I think maybe just commenting on you know, this new chat AI, and just it's such a hot topic lately, which clearly will spill into next year. And this is one of the first times, like even Wall Street is talking about Chat GPT, because you know they're looking at it as a threat to search engines and Google and all this kind of stuff. So I would continue to pay very close attention to what's happening on that side of things, because we're sort of inevitably moving towards AI being a bigger part of what we do as SEOs. At the same time, I think the more AI becomes a part of things like content generation and stuff like that, the more opportunity it's going to create to be doing stuff like creating original content, you know, talking with business owners and getting fresh insights about their business that could potentially fuel content ideas and stuff like that. So focus on AI, or keep an eye on it, but don't let it guide your sort of like core strategies, if you will.
Appreciate your answer, Colin. Thanks. Jan, do you have any like big suggestion or takeaway for next year?
Yeah. So to add to what I was saying is, because things are changing so quickly, and now we have the chat. Like, are people going to be searching through that, or now we have TikTok? Like, people are searching through that. Find out where, like, how people are searching, because how people are searching is changing, and it might change a lot this year. Different platforms. It's not only Google anymore. So you got to ask, how did you find my business? What did you use? Like, what did you like? And also, and do a search when you get an answer. Like, get that information from the customers. How did you find me? And then go ahead and try to replicate what they did to see, am I up top? Am I at the bottom? Am I putting my best foot forward? If someone has more reviews than me, you have to. This year there's going to be a lot of changes, I think, in the way people find you, and so you have to go and check all those places and see what's going on.
Thank you. And I would like Sherry to close things off, and I also have one more slide that I want to share with you guys after that.
Yeah, I think there's going to be lots of changes with Google Business Profile in 2023. I think there's going to be lots of feature updates. I think there's probably going to be some interface changes, just because they seem to be changing things all the time. So just keep an eye on your Google Business Profile if you're a local business, and just keep an eye on things, because I think there's going to be changes.
Great. And finally, wanted to divert everyone's attention that there's also a little secret project going on with Sherry, and you can follow the link. Visit the earlybirddigitalmarketing.com Google Business Profile secret and find out what that secret is. And also, you can see up on the screen Sherry's Twitter and other social media ways of reaching her. And I also want to thank Colin Nielsen and Jan Gilbert for taking the time out of their busy schedules to share this valuable information and get us all ready for next year. Yeah, and just a couple of more slides that I want to show are all about different SEO ranking stuff, so you can take advantage of our extended free trial. We have a bit more access to a couple of more tools in there with extended limits. We also would love for you guys to join our Facebook community, where we discuss matters of SEO, SEO ranking, and just do a lot of different stuff, like including swags and share memes and stuff like that. We also have a basic SEO course, which is available to anyone who's already subscribed to SEO ranking. So you can just go ahead and take advantage of that to get all the SEO basics out of the way and just start actually going forward and moving closer to an SEO hero than being stuck with a zero. And yeah, just follow SEO Ranking wherever we are, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We have a channel where this will be published as well right after we're done. Yeah, and thanks everyone again for taking the time to be here, and wishing everyone a great next year and higher rankings to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Bye.